I am so incredibly excited for this weekend. Like, I really cannot contain myself. We got college football. We've got NFL playoff picture stuff working out. It's going to be just really fun. We got a couple interesting college games I want to talk about first. I'm not a big bowl game guy, but these are games that are going to be on my radar that I'm really interested in. On Thursday, December 29th, Texas will play Washington. What's cool to me here is it's Steve Sarkisian, the Texas head coach, against a team he used to coach for, Washington. Plus, you got two really good quarterbacks, Michael Penix Jr. and Quinn Ewers. I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. That's Thursday, December 29th. Friday, December 30th, you get Notre Dame against South Carolina. South Carolina finished the year really strong. They beat Tennessee, then they beat Clemson. And I would love to see South Carolina finish the year beating Notre Dame as well. Just really end on a high note. I think it'd be 9-4 on the year, which would be massive for South Carolina. And what a cool turn of events for Spencer Rattler, the South Carolina quarterback, who had a rough start to the year and really came on strong at the end. Saturday, December 31st, it's also New Year's Eve. Alabama will play K-State. It's going to be fun. What I'm excited for is Bryce Young, Alabama's starting quarterback, who is probably the number one overall pick. He's going to play in this football game. I'm shocked by that. I can't believe that. I'm surprised by that. But I can't wait to watch Bryce Young. He's fun. He's entertaining. And so is K-State, by the way. That's a good game. Now, again, New Year's Eve also, later in the day, December 31st, New Year's Eve, you got the two college football playoff games. You got number 3 TCU against number 2 Michigan. Massive game. Jim Harbaugh, can he get to a national title? Can TCU make some noise? They're the underdog in my opinion. I'm curious about TCU. And then you also get Georgia against Ohio State. All in one day. Bryce Young, then TCU Michigan, then Georgia Ohio State. It's going to be so much fun. What an incredible day to watch all this stuff happen in one sitting. And I'm fascinated, man. I think Ohio State has a really good opportunity to challenge Georgia. I think of all the teams left in the Final Four, I don't know that Michigan can beat Georgia. I definitely do not believe TCU can beat Georgia. I think Ohio State has a chance here, and I'm really, really interested to see what happens. So soon we're going to know who's going to be playing for the national title. Cannot wait to find out. Now in the NFL, we got even more fun games. We've got a really interesting game. It's the Dolphins at the Patriots. Miami's quarterback Tua is out with a concussion. And so it's a must-win game. The playoffs are on the line. Literally, like, Miami's currently a playoff team. Right behind them is the Patriots, one game behind. And without Tua, the question is, how does Teddy Bridgewater do as a starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins? And actually, the question, in my opinion, is Teddy Bridgewater an upgrade over Tua? I think he might be. Now, in Tampa, you got basically a playoff game. Carolina's 6-9. Tampa's 7-8. They're playing each other. It's at Tampa. And the winner is going to be in a strong position to win the division, the NFC South. Browns-Washington is also a big game. The Washington Commanders are making a change at quarterback for some reason. They're going back to Carson Wentz. Good luck. They had one good drive last week with Carson Wentz, and they're like, let's do it forever. Hell yeah. Currently, Washington is a number 7 seed in the NFC. I worry heavily that they are risking it all to go back to Carson Wentz. And, the playoffs are on the line. How does Carson Wentz play in a big moment? I fear that he's going to play badly. The Jets at Seattle. It's a massive game. Both teams are 7-8. Both teams are just outside of the playoffs with a chance, though, to make it in. And Jets quarterback Mike White is back, healthy and starting. So it's going to be really fun because Geno Smith is playing against the Jets, the team that drafted him, with the playoffs on the line. I cannot think of a better scenario for Geno Smith to maybe make the playoffs beating the team that drafted him. That would be really, really cool and really, really interesting. Monday Night Football is Buffalo at Cincinnati. It's going to be awesome. It's two great quarterbacks, Josh Allen. Monday Night Football is the Buffalo Bills at Cincinnati. It's going to be two great quarterbacks, Joe Burrow against Josh Allen. And we could be watching a rematch of this game in a couple weeks in the playoffs. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. Both teams, Cincinnati and Buffalo are fighting for the number 1 seed in the AFC. I also wonder, because there's a chance they could play each other again, could we see a more simplified game plan for the two teams? Like, are they going to be trying to win all out? Or is there going to be any sense of, hey, we got 2 games left, let's protect our players, or let's maybe not give away our strategy against each other? I'm not really sure, but a lot of question marks up in the air for this football game. So the questions for this weekend, let's recap. Who's going to play in the national title? Probably Georgia, Michigan. But we're going to learn this weekend who are the final 2 teams in the college football world playing for the national title. Another question, can the Detroit Lions make the playoffs? They're 7-8, and they're on the outside looking in. They play Chicago, then Green Bay. I am going to say I think the Detroit Lions are going to narrowly miss the playoffs, which makes me sad. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm worried for them. Now, is Teddy Bridgewater an upgrade at quarterback for Miami? I think the answer is yes. Tua has held back the team the last 4 games, so we'll see. Is Teddy Bridgewater better than Tua? I think it's possible. It's hard to imagine Teddy Bridgewater being worse than Tua was in that 4th quarter last week against Green Bay. So if he just executes this system and gets the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, I think they're going to be just fine. And that might be the right move. I don't know. I wonder if Teddy Bridgewater has an incredible game. Is there any chance you bench Tua for Teddy Bridgewater? I don't know, but it's going to be interesting. Can Carolina win the NFC South? Winning this week is not enough as far as I can tell. I'm rooting for Carolina, but you got to win at Tampa. Then you're going to have the same record, and then you really got to win again at New Orleans. I don't trust Carolina to beat Tampa and then New Orleans both on the road. I worry they're going to beat Tampa, have it all right in front of them, and then Carolina's going to lose to the New Orleans Saints in Week 18, which would be heartbreaking and fitting. What is the Bills-Bengals game going to look like? It's the second to last game of the year. It's not a playoff game. However, they're both kind of fighting for the number 1 seed. Buffalo's number 1. Currently, Cincinnati's number 3 with KC in between them. But I wonder, is the number 1 seed in the playoffs even an important thing teams are aiming for? I don't know. Do you want a bye week in the playoffs? Probably to rest, but also if you take a bye week, if you have a week off in the playoffs, does that actually backfire because then you're out of rhythm and out of practice for the playoff game? I'm not really sure. And then maybe I'm curious if we see vanilla schemes. Are teams going to be trying to disguise what they're doing? Because it's very possible that Buffalo's going to rematch with Cincinnati in a couple weeks in January in the playoffs. I'm not really sure, man. So I'm just very curious what the strategy is going to look like for the Bills and Bengals game. And then, man, is Carson Wentz going to be better than Taylor Heineke, honestly? Because Washington is risking their number 7 seeding right now in the playoff picture and switching quarterbacks, which, if it works out, awesome, but it's also really risky. And if you don't make the playoffs because Carson Wentz, who I guess you're paying a lot of money for, you traded for him, you might as well, put the ball in his court, I guess. But, oh, man, what's more painful? Missing the playoffs with Carson Wentz sitting on the bench wondering what could have been? Or missing the playoffs with Carson Wentz thinking, ooh, we traded for this guy? I don't know. I'm really curious what happens with Washington this weekend. Here's another question. Who's going to be better? Mike White or former Jets quarterbacks? Because you got Sam Darnold and Geno Smith. Sam Darnold is playing at Tampa with a chance to win their division, the NFC South. And then Geno Smith is playing the Jets directly in Seattle. He's playing the Jets. Both teams are 7-8. I believe Mike White's going to deliver and play really well. But how wild would it be if Mike White was bad and then Geno Smith was great and Sam Darnold was great and the Jets fans are sitting at home like, we just can't do quarterbacks. We just can never figure out the quarterback position. I love that thought. I don't know. I'm rooting for Mike White, though. I hope Mike White does awesome. But it would be a hilarious twist of fate, right? Like a knife in the back of Jets fans if their 2 former quarterbacks were great and if one of their former quarterbacks beat the Jets and eliminated them from playoff contention.